It is the 15th of the 7th, 2025. The time is 20 minutes past 10. Turtle Dove sending you love and strength as always. That means, therefore, there are very many F1 centric thread at which we need to pull. We will talk about some Sir Lewis Hamilton. We'll talk about a dialogue between Oscar Piastri and Alain Prost. We'll talk about Red Bull, Sim, Bods crashing at Goodwood Festival of Speed. So too, we'll talk about Christian Horner and Alpine Briatore, Bernie Eccleston potentially. Of what are you speaking, Cameron? This is chaos. So too, we'll talk about Martin Brundle and Maximilian Verstappen, team Max Verstappen, lobbing grenades over at Christian Horner, and so by extension, Oracle Red Bull Racing. It's about to get techier than techie things. Let me show you this in the first instance. Roll the clip. I mean, what are we doing? Extend the chap some grace, surely, Cameron CC. But you can't help but laugh. There were some displays of the automotive pugilistic variety at the Goodwood Festival of Speed, but this was not one of them, yeeting it into the bale of hay at the very first turn. What are we doing? This is not going to. However, there was a conversation between Prost and Ollie Behrman that I think it's worthy of note. Roll the clip.
So small though. Yeah. So tight. You have three pedals. Huh? You have three pedals. Right foot brake.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, the clutch and
yeah.
No, that is a problem.
That's difficult.
Yeah.
Was this the era where you would have qualifying engines?
We had qualifying engine
with extra power.
Yes, we had qualifying engine. The last part, also in '93. So from even early days. From early days, we always had qualifying engine.
That's so cool.
That was a very tiring car. Very tiring.
Yeah.
Because we had no support.
Yeah. If you struggle with the neck, you're gone.
I was very often using the strap.
Okay.
Yes, that corner, depending the track. It's like a go-kart, it's very light. It's 500 kilos, 1,000 of power.
That's incredible.
I mean, you could listen to that all day, right? Ollie Behrman looking to learn and understand what's come before him so he doesn't repeat the mistakes of Crispus past, having a conversation, an honest and open dialogue with the one they call the Professor. Oh, the humanity. Oh, by the way, these are drivers enjoying themselves. There was a thing called Wimbledon over the course of the past week or so. George Russell and Ollie Behrman were there in attendance. And again, why aren't they in the sim? Why aren't they practicing? Well, because sometimes, Cameron, you've got to extend these drivers some grace, for F1 isn't life and one must enjoy life. Some say time in life is a finite resource. Oh, and by the way, something's been going on with Lewis Hamilton of late, has it not? We spoke yesterday about his desire to impinge his DNA, infuse his DNA within the SF26 car, next year's iteration of the red car with a yellow badge and the black prancing horse atop. We talked about brakes, we talked about steering, we talked about the homologation of the handling dynamic, we talked about carbon industry, we talked about Brembo, we talked about acclimatization periods. Lewis Hamilton, the discerning eye amongst you, will have noticed that Lewis Hamilton has been on something of a PR campaign, opening up Fanatec stores, interviews left, right and centre, talking about all different things, marketing behemoth settings. It feels like Lewis Hamilton at this point in time is flexing his marketing might on Twitter, all over the shop, replying in kind to people directly. What is going on? I feel like Lewis Hamilton is reminding us, you must have forgot he's saying without saying it, that he's a 7-time champion, GOAT settings, first round Hall of Fame. Of course he's that guy. His performances haven't been so fantastic over the past 24 months, but we're not talking about that now. He's looking to build a campaign, not in 25, but in 26, and therefore the car is important. JP Montoya said, if you are going to build a car, a championship winning one, Scuderia Ferrari, then you might want to have a listen to the guy who's driven championship winning cars in the most recent past. At Scuderia Ferrari, the red team with the yellow badge and black prancing Corsa top, there is one fella who has done that, and he has a name. His name is Sir Lewis Hamilton. Getting active on social media. It's techier than techie things. Go on then. By the way, Christian Horner, we've got to talk about it too, because it's kicking off massively. Not long dismissed from his role as team principal of Oracle Red Bull Racing. But what does that mean going forward? Not just for Maximilian Verstappen's future, but for Christian Horner. Because if Christian Horner is anything, it is vengeful, ladies and gentlemen of the F1 jury, and he will want to exact some revenge upon Red Bull Racing for getting rid of him. Don't think for a second that Christian Horner won't be plotting in the background, envisioning how and why and when he wants to come back in Formula One. Now, the reason why he got dismissed ultimately, some say, is for equity or lack thereof. He'd always harboured aspirations to become a team principal, come shareholder, a Toto the boy who cried wolf type figure who owns 30% of the company, the team for which he works. Christian Horner didn't make it, and ultimately that put paid to his role, his tenure at Red Bull Racing. However, some are saying now that potentially Christian Horner might come back sooner than you think. The context is this: he will have a contract at Red Bull Racing through to January of next year. Nothing will happen before then. He's in an extended period of gardening leave, therefore. But shortly thereafter, have a look at which one of these teams currently on the grid are making movements. There is a team called Alpine who are looking to sell anywhere between 1.2 and 1.4 billion. Could Christian Horner come in the back door then and secure that sale? A purchase with financiers, British financiers, the ones with whom he tried to leverage a spin-off of Red Bull Racing potentially. This is F1 conjecture and speculation, but sometimes you got to put on your investigative cap and understand that there is no F1 smoke without F1 flame. Here's what's being reported. Apparently, people are saying that Christian Horner could come back and purchase one Alpine, that there have been rumours in the paddock that with some backing, potentially by dint of Bernie Ecclestone's not insubstantial financial resource and might, that Christian Horner could find himself a minority stakeholder at Alpine after January. So this person, this report, so this is important. Valkenberg, for the avoidance of doubt, all F1 journalists are created equally, with some are created more equal than others. On the Race podcast, Valkenberg, one of the goodest ones, said that he reckons if he were to put money on Christian Horner's landing place, that it would be at Alpine. But there's a long way to go. He says it's techie than techie things. Jeremy Clarkson's chimed in, and he knows Christian Horner better than most. Here's what Jeremy Clarkson even had to say. The clever money is on Christian Horner going to Alpine, but next year they will have Mercedes engines, which means Christian would have to work with Silver Arrow's boss, Toto the boy who cried wolf. And those two, for the avoidance of doubt, have never really gotten on. So therefore, I cannot see it happening, says Clarkson. Ferrari, possibly, but that would mean upping sticks and moving to Italy and dealing with Sir Lewis Hamilton. How very dare you, Jeremy Clarkson, put some respect on Lewis Hamilton's neck. Dealing with the characterization betrays a very deep-seated hatred of Sir Lewis Hamilton, and they accuse me of going hard on the 7-time champion. Oh, and by the way, Valkenberg said once upon a time when Scuderia Ferrari, if we wind back 24 months, were desperate to get themselves one Christian Horner, because then they needed to attract some key signings, and Christian Horner was the man for the job then. But there is a time and place, lest we forget the broader context as far as team principal and team silly season, is that Mohammed Ben Sulayem has been practically begging for a 12th entrant on the grid. The 11th will be Cadillac F1 next year, but Mohammed Ben Sulayem wants to continue expanding this sport as if he has something to do with the commercial arm, begging for a North Asian 12th entrant potentially. Otmar Safnauer says that he's got the financial backing with a view to expand into that 12th entrant spot, but we have to watch and wait. It will get techier than techie things, and the F1 world watches with bated breath to see the next move of the one they call Christian Horner. Oh, and by the way, if we're talking about getting techier than techie things, Martin Brundle has been talking about the demise of Christian Horner on the internationally syndicated Sky Sports F1 YouTube channel. He had this to say: I don't know what's going on with Christian Horner. But what's absolutely clear is that Verstappen has been lobbing grenades, hand grenades, for quite some time now, some months, and some of them have gone off, and it's been pretty relentless in that respect. And I think at times Max's dad, Yos Vstappen, has made it absolutely clear that he thinks Christian Horner shouldn't be leading the company and leading the team. Touche. So Yos absolutely did say that if Christian Horner continues as team principal of Oracle Red Bull Racing, that the team will implode. And who could argue with a straight face now that Yos wasn't right? Everything he said has come to pass. A gazillion people, as near as makes no difference, mention no names, Adrian Newey, Rob Marshall, Jonathan Wheatley, have left the team. Serious people, like intellectual property, as near as makes no difference. The car is rubbish. Pierre Vacher and Enrico Balbo were pitched as the guys to take up the mantle of the mechanical and aerodynamic variety from The Last Airbender, the one that they call Adrian Newey, and it has not happened. Martin Brundle continues. So I would, yes, say they've played a key role, Team Verstappen, in Christian's exit, but I say unless you're in the office behind closed doors, then you don't know that for certain. But there are certain things, continues Brundle, I do know, and certain things I've seen and heard that make me think they were pretty involved in this decision. He's talking of Team Verstappen. I would concur. I think Team Verstappen, absolutely. If Team Verstappen is Yos Vstappen, Raymond Vermeulen, include within that Oliver Mintzlaff and Mark Mateschitz, absolutely they wanted Christian Horner gone, have wanted Christian Horner gone. But I think it's important to delineate between Team Verstappen and Max. For the avoidance of doubt, Max won't stand against Yos Vstappen. When asked to come out and equivocally back Christian Horner in his trophiest of trough moments last year, misconduct allegation gate, Max Verstappen said, what I won't do is stand against orthogonal to the position of my father Yos Verstappen. It won't happen now, nor will it ever. Loyalty settings, so too. I think there's something to be said for Max Verstappen's comments over the past couple of weeks. Not that I disagree with what Martin Brundle said, but again, Max in front of the world's press and media will take a different stance. He's never going to come out and underscore a person, a Red Bull Racing team member. As an example, your Exhibit A, you will recall Ted Kravitz put a microphone in front of Max's face and said, how are you going to avoid the strategic mishaps of the previous Grand Prix? Are you going to have conversations with Stephen Knowles, the guy who replaced sporting director, the one they called Jonathan Wheatley? Max Verstappen said, I'm not going to single out any team member. I don't think that's edifying, nor is it useful. Ted Kravitz responded by saying, well, I don't think I'm singling out anybody. And Max Verstappen said, you are singling out somebody because you name-checked the dude by name. What are you talking about? So I'm not sure that Max Verstappen is as complicit in this as Martin Brundle thinks. So too, a couple of weeks ago, Max Verstappen was asked about blaming the management for the foibles, the multitudinous travails, mechanical and aerodynamic of the RB21 in 2025. Max Verstappen said it's really easy to blame management, but it's something I don't think is negative. The balance issues this year have been a bit better, but in some areas we are a little bit weak. Choosing instead to point culpability fingers at the car instead of management and or Christian Horner. Max Verstappen continued saying, quote, oh, the management is working. If you asked the question back in 2023, what is the best way? You would say Red Bull is doing great. So everything is working well. Max Verstappen's words, not mine. So I would be precise, therefore, with your language, Martin Brundle. I don't think it's Max Verstappen lobbing grenades necessarily at Christian Horner that ultimately paid to Christian Horner's tenure as Oracle Red Bull team principal. I think potentially it's some of the things that Christian Horner did. Again, it's a multifaceted causation pie, this. Christian Horner's ultimate demise, the absence of equity also played a part. Charlie Mivija, that relationship souring, but more to the point, underperformance of the material variety. The car has been rubbish, and a deluge, a plethora of god tier minds have left that team over the past 24 months. It's a multitude of factors. not just Team Verstappen. That's not to say that Yos Vstappen wasn't popping champagne at the announcement of Tuesday or Wednesday morning last week, but I think you want to paint a full picture, a holistic one, when you're talking about causation here. Ladies and gentlemen, the F1 jury, it's going to get techie. I will be back at 8 p.m. where we'll go long, talk back and forth, F1 modes of discourse each and every single time. Techie Tuesdays, as always. Between now and then, ladies and gentlemen, the F1 jury, the prosecution rests no further questions, Your Honour.